got the real estate board, PCREA. And we want to welcome all, and Brian, everybody's going to introduce the whole team. That's our esteemed colleagues and help us do our jobs well. And keep us in line all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to get in that, but before we get started with our guest speakers, I'm going to do a quick update on the market for you. The market's moving. And that's all I can say. It's not moving quickly, but it's moving, and it's moving in the right direction. So it's going, our sales to active ratio, if those of you who don't know sales to active, we have some new realtors here, so I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit. The sales to active ratio just regulates or monitors the listings compared to the sales. So it's a supply and demand formula, meaning, the greater the supply, the less demand. It's going to put downward pressure on prices. The more demand and less supply, it's going to put upward pressure. So those numbers are, if you got your sales to active ratio below 12, you're gonna have upward pressure on prices. So it's going to make the price go up. If there's more sales than there are listings, too many slideshow here. First slide, please. This kind of shows you just generally what's happening right now. You can see that I just did a little market breakdown in the last kind of 4 or 5 months. And we started our sales active ratio from 12.6 back in February. We're kind of at 14.6 overall. So generally the market's moving up. It's a nice, slow, gradual increase. It's speeding up a little bit. That's good. It's not going fast, so don't get me confused with that. If you look at back in the day, I looked up 2021 or something like that, or after the COVID, these numbers, 12, 14, they were 30, 40, 50%. It was crazy. This is crazy. So for you young people and new realtors, that's where the market was. This is where we are now. But it's not a bad market for new people starting out. It's a nice gradual upswing. So you're just going to have to work a little harder. Can we move on and kind of go over that? What's hot, what's not? Sellers are listing fewer new homes. Buyer demand keeps rising. So less homes are coming on the market, and we're continuing on our sales. So the inventory is starting to get eaten up. And that's a good thing. So we have an oversupply. It's a real big oversupply now. It's just starting to balance out with sales going on. Listings are slowing down. Sales maintaining. Let's just move on there. Softer areas. The thing that we all know, we hear this term buyer's market, seller's market all the time. And what my concern is that we can't dictate what's the segment of the market we're in. You're taking a listing. It could be in a really low buyer's market area. And there's nothing to do about it. You take the listing. So my question to myself is this. If I've got a really tough listing in a buyer's market area or a segment of the market, what can I do to help myself in that? Because we can't choose. You can't get the hottest house on the block to sell. You might get the older one that needs a little bit of help to get going. So that was the question I asked. Let's take it a step, dig a little bit deeper into your market strategy and see where you're going. And this is what I came up with. So let's just move on here. You can a couple of things here. Go back one. This one. Things that you can do. I was talking to Paul Hood, our mortgage guy, and we're talking about doing a buy down, a rate buy down. So what you can do on something like that is you've got an older house, you're having a tough time selling it. What you can say, look, this comes with the going rate for a 3-year mortgage is 4.99%. This house comes with a 3.99% 3-year mortgage on it on approved credit with Paul, of course. We're not going to get into all that, but that's just a thing. The other thing you can maybe do that we used to do back in the day was like a home warranty. And those are really popular. When I was selling mortgages, we used to include with our mortgage home warranty, and the home warranty wasn't a total home warranty. What it was is a warranty on all the appliances and the water heater and the furnace and all of the dishwasher and all that stuff. Well, those are little things that give your buyer confidence in buying that. When you buy a new house, you're going to think, geez, I don't know, that washing machine looks like it's had its better days. That water heater, I don't know how long it's been around, 30 years. I don't know if that's going to go. So if you add a value added service to what you're doing, you can you get a warranty with that, and if it goes within so long, they can replace their water heater. And how many times have you heard of water heating going, shortly after they take over the place? So little things like that are value added. So I was thinking about that. If you got a stale listing, let's go on one, please. Little things that you can do. We all know about this. We all know about a buyer's bonus, buyer's agent bonus. Well, the developer's doing that all the time. We can do that as well. So keep that in mind. But that's kind of one of the common low-hanging fruit. What else can you do? Incentivize not just a discount. This is rate buy downs, closing credits. So you can talk to Paul again, your mortgage broker, whatever, your banker, and talk to them about having a rate buy down for their clients. Have a closing package for the people. Comes with a closing package, covers your legals, covers your appraisal, that kind of thing. So think outside the box, guys. Don't just drop the price. Think about other things that you can add in there before you do that. And when you're doing your listing presentation, these can all go in your listing presentations because it's part of your package that you're doing for your clients going forward. When you do the relist, we all know about this. You take it right off and you put it right back up again, and it's a relist, so it kind of looks new. But that's not good enough anymore. You can't just relist the property. Redo the shoot, redo some pictures, change some of the pictures on it. We all know you've been out there looking in a house, and I see, oh God, there's a new one. That's a nice one. Oh, that one looks good. Oh, same whole thing that I've been looking at. We already seen that one. All that stuff. So reshoot it a little bit, repackage it, change your marketing ploy. If it's a 5-bedroom home, something like that, sell it as a multi-generational home. Grandma and grandpa can live in the basement or whatever. You can, do whatever you want to. So think outside the box a little bit and, move up buyers, put that at the top of your heading, something like that. So change it around a little bit, redo the pictures, and really think outside the box, guys. You're going to have to work a little bit harder. Partner with, they can also rent the, this is another one I came up with, guys, in the middle of the night where I drink too much coffee, but you can, partner up with a rental property, one of our property rental managers, and see what you can do about renting it out. If it's a listing that's stale and can't get going, rent it out. The other thing I was thinking about, we talked to Paul about this one again. Paul's going to be a busy guy after this meeting. What about a rent to own kind of package? So, and I thought about that. Well, you hear about that all the time, but no, this is going to be a little bit different. In order to rent to own this house, you have to qualify with Paul first to make sure that you can buy it before I'm going to rent it to you. So you can live in it for a year, and then Paul will close the deal if you like it, you want to go on, and I'll give it to you at the rate now. So these are things that you got to think of, incentives that are out there without dropping the price. What can you do to sell that house and move it on? All right, guys. So that's just a little bit of what's going on and things to do. And I just wanted to kind of give you a quick update, some ideas. Things are moving. Continue what you're doing and keep on keeping on is what's happening right now. But the market is moving, and for you new people, it's not that bad out there. You just got to work a little hard, a little smarter. With that, come on up, Brian.
Hi.
Brian, I'll let you go here. And he's going to introduce himself and tell what he does. And
thank you so much for having us here. I always love, get the chance to come up, spend some time with on brokerage sites. A lot of fun. It's a big piece of my job. Now, I'll introduce my two compadres here, but I'll let them talk about themselves a little bit more than I do. I'm sure they can do justice better than I can. But Doug gave me a call, I want to say maybe a month ago, and said, can you come by the office and, chat about a couple of things, give us a bit of a GVR update and all the rest of it. And I said, absolutely, for sure. And he sent over a few questions, topics that were, top of mind for him that he wanted to talk about and kind of dive into a little bit. So originally it was just supposed to be Carmen and myself. And then Jennie became available, and she's, a subject matter expert in one of the topics we're going to talk about. So I figured I'd bring in the big guns. Also, we've got Lena here as well. She's one of the newest team members on the account executive team at GVR. She's observing today, just kind of seeing how things go. So hello, Lena, welcome. Want to move into the next slide for me, please? That would be great. So our agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about, I'm not going to talk about our speakers. I'll talk about myself, and I'll let these two gals talk about themselves. We're going to talk about buyer's agency. We're going to talk about common concerns, themes, and things like that we're seeing at the board right now. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about PacificWest. It's a shameless plug for the big conference in September. But if you want to move on to the next slide, I'll talk about myself. It's my favorite topic. Now, For me, I'm GVR's account executive. That is a very brand new role. When I say brand new, it's about a year, in the making or so. We got things rolling last April, and Doug was one of the first managing brokers that I had met with. They basically just peeled the plastic off me and kind of sent me out into the wild, and Doug was one of the first guys I called. We are the first
involved, I think, someone.
Yeah, exactly. We are the first real estate board in what we believe, certainly Canada, but what we believe to be North America, to implement a business development and account executive program specifically for managing brokers. We've had a couple of calls from competing real estate boards within Canada, Edmonton being one of them, looking to replicate what we're doing. Essentially, my role is to interact on a brokerage level with managing brokers and members to collect feedback on things like regulatory changes, market shifts, policy, all the rest of it, bring it back to the board and give a little bit of advice to our team members. So at the higher level, we can make changes and lend your voices to the discussion on how organized real estate changes. Now, a very small bit about me, I was a licensed realtor right up until the board snatched me away from RE/MAX. So I spent, a number of years in the business, and it's tough out there right now, I know. Things are getting better, like Doug said, of course, but I'll touch into the why with PacificWest later on. But I'm going to hand it over to Carmen here to talk a little bit about herself, what she does with the CREA. Yep.
Since we're going to be doing the next slide, I feel it makes more sense for me to go up and let Carmen introduce herself and it goes straight into.
Fire away. Fire away.
Go for it. Good morning, everybody. That's exactly right. My name is Jennie deFoy, and I love following Brian because when Brian explains what he does with the brokerages, I can say just exactly what he said, except I'm really focused on the individual member. I'm always looking for feedback. I am looking to meet members if we need volunteers. She's like, Atlas and I know each other. I have so much more to add, by the way, on volunteer. We are moving stuff much faster now. But yeah, so I'm really always interested in bringing feedback back to the office so that if we're doing something with our internal processes, our policies, I'm talking GVR right now, not regulation necessarily or legislation. But if we're doing something that is causing you to have these wasted moments while you're like, what is GVR doing? I want to know because I'm bringing it back, and I try not to let go of something until it's gone full circle, the loop is closed, whether we were able to make a change happen or we weren't. Either way, like that, nothing just disappears into the atmosphere, never to be talked about again. So that's the part of my job that I really love. I do also work with volunteers. I won't get into too much about that right now. I can talk about it later. But yeah, so that's why I'm here. And, I heard somebody refer to Brian as Junior earlier, which kind of made me laugh.
That's me.
Well done, going. So when Brian says I'm the subject matter expert on some of the things we're going to be talking about, I'm no Kim Spencer by any stretch of the imagination, but those are the shoes I'm sort of filling in that regard. I do many other different things, but so that's why I'm going to be talking about some of our common calls that we get right now. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Carmen deFoy. I'm with BCREA, so I'm the Director of Professional Development there. A little bit about my background and why I kind of come out to these things. I was in the regulatory space for 15 years, so I managed to survive, worked for the Real Estate Council, which then became BCFSA as an investigator, and then in education. So I like to come on these types of things to talk about practice-related matters. So questions that you might have with respect to forms, whatever it might be, which is what we're going to talk about today. I also have a shared role with GVR, so I work with their PD team as well, particularly on the launch of the new LMS. So I think you all probably know about that. So now our two organizations are working together with the same LMS, so you can get all your GVR courses and BCRA courses on the same platform. I'm done talking about me. I'm not like Brian. I don't like to talk about myself. So we have the next slide. So there were some questions about buyers agency. You advised you.
I did call her.
You said it first.
I walked right into that one. That's right.
I did. So there were some questions about buyers agency agreements, and I'll give a very brief kind of overview on why you might want to use a buyer's agency agreement. It is an advocacy piece for BCREA, so it's something our government relations team has gone to the regulator and said this should be mandatory. much after the NAR decision, as I'm sure you know, the National Association of Realtors, our friends to the south, where it is now mandatory. And I have to say, it always boggled my brain a little bit as to why a seller and a listing agreement is mandatory. You have to have that unless it's waived by your client, but you never did with a buyer. And I never really could wrap my brain around that. Obviously, the benefit for you folks is, yes, it lays out what you're going to get paid, right? That's important for everybody. But there's a lot of other things that come into play with a buyer's agency agreement and the benefits of actually having one. When I worked at BCFSA, we'd often get complaints from buyers saying like, he's not doing his job. He said he would do this and he's not doing that. Well, there was no agreement that we could really go to say, well, did he promise you that? And did he outline that these were the services he was going to provide? So a buyer's agency agreement, in my mind, its biggest benefit is that it clearly outlines the expectations and obligations of you as a realtor, as well as your client's expectations and obligations. If you're dealing with a client who's wacko and is wanting you to go all over the Lower Mainland and show them properties in areas that you're not familiar with, if you got a buyer's agency agreement, you can say to them, actually, this is the geographical area that we talked about, and I'm not familiar with that area. So it safeguards you as well. It's not all about just what you're getting paid, but it safeguards you. It also helps in circumstances where perhaps the listing agent is offering a commission that isn't up to snuff for you. You expected that you will be paid more. You've had that conversation with your buyer client. Now you actually have an agreement that says this is the commission that I expect to get representing you as a buyer. And it lays out what happens if a listing agent isn't offering that amount of commission. How do we deal with that? How do we, am I okay to go to the seller and enter into a fee agreement? Am I okay to go to the listing agent and say, you're going to have to amend that listing contract? Those conversations happening at the outset of your agency relationship, rather than when you're right in the middle of a deal, is a benefit to a realtor, right? Because you don't want to be having those conversations, particularly, I know it's a slower market now, but in a hot market, going, whoa, hang on, we're in a multiple offer situation and now I need to talk about my commission. It's not a great look, right? So those to me are the biggest benefit of a buyer's agency agreement. I think I covered the questions that Doug sent ahead of time, but I'm going to throw it to you folks to talk further about.
Well, now that you mentioned it, the form that we often use that we need that isn't there is when we're renegotiating our commissions with the seller.
Mm-hmm.
The form that we need is buyer represented, seller pays. And that's the only one that's missing.
When you're talking, you're representing the buyer, right?
Representing the buyer, and I want to renegotiate my commissions. I want the seller to pay the.
But isn't there a fee agreement that is buyer represented, seller not represented, seller pays? Because they're not represented by you, but they're represented by somebody else.
Well, yeah, but they're represented. I can't use a form that says seller not represented. They're represented.
I think it means not represented by you, the individual, but I'll take that back and I'll.
Yeah, that should be clarified. If that's fine, that's fine. But it shouldn't say, because when you take it to the seller.
Yes, they're like, wait a minute, I am represented.
Right here. So,
exactly.
And all of us out here, they're calling me, asking me about it. Well, just cross out the dot.
Yeah.
And that's not. And then I'm in bigger trouble. I didn't say that one.
There's no trouble. I don't work for the regulator anymore. Like, no.
They're not saying anything anymore, but yeah, if you clarify that, it'd be wonderful.
Absolutely. I can take that back to standard forms for sure.
If you want another obscure one, I'll give it to you. I know you don't, but I'll give it to you.
I love obscure forms.
Is there, when we're doing a native leasehold and you sign that?
Yep.
There's a signature for the buyer, but there's no signature on the other end of that lease. There's the native lands lease isn't signed by the native.
I'll take a look at that form as well, because I know there's some changes coming to that form as well for a standard forms release.
It's a Wiley thing.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I'll take that back to Sean.
Thanks.
That's his problem. Yes.
So do you think that's going to become mandatory?
Do I think it will? I mean, like I said, it's something we're advocating for with the regulator. I think everybody sees the value in it. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me, especially given the decision to our neighbors south.
Yeah.
It's I talk to realtors about buyer's agency agreements a lot too, because if you do it the right way, it's really part of your pitch, right? Like it becomes part of your value proposition. And I think it's just a different thinking around it, so it might take a little bit for folks to get there, but at the end of the day, I do see
Years
that.
ago, when they used to present this to buyers, they felt like now they've got an anchor.
Exactly.
And they're
Totally.
going, I don't like this. I don't
Exactly.
like-
Yeah, that was.
I've got an agreement here with me for 4 months. What do you like?
And I think it's gonna be all about what that mandatory agreement might look like. Like, we don't know, I have no idea of knowing whether it's something that BCFSA ultimately would end up making a standard form, or whether it's something BCRA would take on. I think it's all in what's in the meat of that agreement to
The buyer
really
would want to see a note.
100%.
Yeah, I think that because people don't want to sign it, they will
Yeah.
feel like now
I-
they are in a contract.
Yeah.
I've been 22 years in this and I've never had.
Yeah, and I mean, we
Because
can,
the first time I did, they went, no, I don't know.
Mike, have you ever had a commission disagreement or dispute with?
Not a dispute. I just good old 2% realty or 1% realty, whatever it is. And every time I've dealt with them, I go, here's an offer and here's what you're gonna be.
But have you ever been working with the buyer and they just dropped you and went with?
went to somebody else.
They-
I had
Don't
that.
spend so much time.
You had that?
I had that once, and I think they bought with someone else, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
they said we want to cancel, thank you for your service, but I didn't have the form.
Mhm.
I usually, to be honest, don't use it. I had a conversation at the earlier stage, they don't feel comfortable about it.
Mhm.
I send it all the documents over once I am like.
Yeah.
Submitting the offer or something, but for that client, we even put like 2 offers. And after like 1 year of doing the showings, they said we just changed our mind, and I think they bought with someone else.
one thing I just say about that, Atlas, is that the whole idea of this thing in our office anyway is to have the conversation.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I care about.
That's what I was gonna say, like,
If you
it,
could-
I think that's the piece, right,
think
is
that's
having that
good.
conversation early on in that agency
Yeah.
relationship,
I
and
think that-
it makes it easier because you now have the DORTS form that is much different than the working with a realtor.
Now they
broker.
know.
So
Now
they
they
understand,
consciously
like,
know.
they're actually, you're having these conversations about agency, so the DORTS form actually almost makes it easier to have this conversation, to say, now that you've said, yes, I'm gonna be your agent, let's talk about my service agreement.
I think that's its use, yeah.
Yeah.
Practice.
Question about, you're talking about geographic locations. I know that the NAR was talking about actually having some sort of restrictions on that, like if you're not an expert in your area, you
Mhm.
can't sell out of your
Yeah.
area. Like, is that something that's at all in the pipeline here, or is that even happening down there?
Not as far as I know, but I mean,
But
there's already, section 30 of the rules already says you have to act within your area of expertise,
course,
right?
yeah.
So I think the reason I mentioned that, it actually comes from Alberta. So Alberta uses the exclusive buyers agency agreement quite a bit. I don't know if it's mandatory. I cannot recall at the moment. I don't think it is, but they use it a lot. And there was a dispute at a time that went to the courts, basically saying that the individual had covered all of Alberta. So he said, I'm gonna be your agent, whether you buy something in Calgary or whether you buy something way up north. And he ultimately, the client ended up purchasing a property just north of Edmonton. And the agent was like, hey, we have this buyer's agency agreement. And the courts decided like, that's not realistic. So it's something that they've added into their buyer's agency agreement to define what that geographical area is, so that you're not kind of blanketly saying, if you buy
Yeah.
anything in British Columbia, I'm your guy.
yeah, so I just look at how like restrictive it can be of like, if it's, maybe I'm a Tri-Cities realtor and it's like Maple Ridge, it's just over the bridge.
You could put whatever you want.
Yeah, so
Like,
that's, I guess.
it's up to you. Yeah, no, it's up to,
you.
I don't envision a world where the regulator would say, no, you can only stay within a 50-kilometer radius.
Yeah,
I think that would be it's a term of the contract, right? So it would just be what you and your client could agree upon.
So then you terminate that, let's say I have a geography of the whole downtown. And North Shore, for example, and then my client ends up buying in Surrey. And
Yeah.
for example, that I'm not the expert in that area. After like signing the document and then having the 4 months of the contract, if they decide to go to White Rock,
Mhm.
like in the middle actually, then I'm like a month after.
Yeah.
So what does it do? Like I can't.
You can amend the contract. It's like any other contract. So as long as you have the agreement with your
And
client,
if I don't agree, what happens? Like,
well, if you don't agree, then, and they want to go buy something somewhere else, they can contract another licensee in that area and
exactly.
They
up
can
to them.
fire you.
There's, exactly.
Yeah.
Or wouldn't you have the same issue whether you had an agreement or not?
totally,
Exactly.
totally would. At least now you have something to hang your hat on if they act untowardly.
And you're not a real realtor until you fire someone.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
I've done about 4 of those. I guess this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm going Viking.
This is not worth it. This is absolutely not worth it, but that's it. That's my spiel, unless anybody has any other questions.
So has that been updated like recently? Like when do you think the last time
The contract, the exclusive buyer agency
Yeah,
contract.
just the form itself. Has that been updated last year?
It's, I wanna say, I'd have to double check
Yeah.
when we last updated it. I think it has a small change coming with our November launch as well. Just little tweaks that you probably wouldn't even notice, but I think it's been a bit since it's been
Yeah.
overhauled last. And again, because we're advocating to be CFSA, why bother doing that until we actually know where it's gonna land? Right? Makes sense.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. My turn. Oh, it's like standing and sitting all day.
No problem. Thank you.
All day long, I
appreciate
He's our official,
You go
our official host as well.
it.
Give him a tip on
It
this.
should,
He's
like
got a
this.
fall free. Mine's favorite.
Thank you for this.
Not quite ready.
Speaking of time,
You can find the
where's Mike?
Oh, weird.
I think it's just.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
the stock images.
I think. Yeah, and it's also missing, okay, that's fine. So before, let me just refresh my memory.
Yeah, a little bit of context. We had some technical issues on the way in here, so,
We sorted it out.
yeah, we did, but
it's-
the real content's coming from Jennie anyway, so.
Well, yeah, and unlike Carmen, I can't just fly by the seat of my pants. I need to refer to notes from time to time. But you know, when Doug was talking about the market, it's funny because my notes say, you may not be surprised, but the market conditions really affect the kind of phone calls that we get. So right now, we're not getting any complaints about multiple offers because they're not happening in great, but you know, I do hear about multiple offers here and there, but they're just not, you know, everywhere. So we get the kind of complaints right now where members have more time to pay attention to what's going on. Members are trying harder to market themselves, and then the public gets involved. We get calls from the public, we get emails from the public. I get a lot of emails with pictures of open house signs in the middle of the week. Explain to me why this is here. I don't want it making a mess in my neighborhood. And you're only one of the realtors that has an open house sign still in the middle of the week in that neighborhood. Now imagine there's several listings in that community. This is where the public goes from, I'm super impressed with how quickly houses are selling in my neighborhood to look at this junk. Who's regulating these people? Why are they allowed to do this? And their attitude about our profession tanks. So many times when I talk to folks and I say, just got a call, your open house is out there. Like, I don't want to be calling on open house signs throughout the day, right? There are more important topics to be talking about. But directional signs and open house signs are what I'm hearing right now from the public. It's bothering them and it makes the whole industry look bad. So don't be that person, please.
Is it just that there's just like there's just so many? Like, is that really?
It's a combination of things. You might have one agent that has their name on a sign and they'll have three, first of all, in one spot. In addition to John's and Jane's and Jennie's and Carmen's. And then you go to the next corner. Oh, look, they're all there again and they're all here again. So it's a combination of agents using multiple signs for their own open house or directionals combined with other agents with the same practice. Even if the other agent only has one sign out, they're grouped in with everybody else. The public will sometimes call and say, your agent so-and-so, and give me a very specific name, and they have a very negative tone when they're using it. That agent doesn't even know that this community now thinks that they're trashing their neighborhood.
Don't these signs have to have the brokerage on them?
That too. Sometimes.
And the bus stops and the garbage cans.
Yeah, when I go for a walk, I have to sometimes turn that off. I'll look at a for sale sign and I'll be like walking right up to it, squinting. Where's the brokerage? Who is this person? Are they a member of ours? Are they a member of another board? I can't tell. Sometimes I don't recognize the name. So if I see the brokerage, I'll know, oh, that's one of ours. Sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah, and frankly, if I were a brokerage owner or a managing broker, how do you have time to police that, right? You can't. It's absolutely impossible.
Another thing that happens with the open house signs, at least in my neighborhood, is there's a few agents we know that always put them up Saturday morning at
Yep,
9.
yep.
And leave them up until Tuesday.
Yeah,
The open
exactly.
house was for 2 hours.
You got it.
Right? And
You got it.
And they're, because I follow them, I go, hey,
Yeah,
yeah, it's free advertising, no one's complaining.
this is,
Like, You look like an idiot.
Yes, it's not a good look. It's not a professional look. The city doesn't have time really to police all of that either. So all it's really creating is a bad will. So I'm just trying to see if I had any other notes. there.
Sometimes mistake.
I beg
got
your pardon?
flighted to Mexico one time. They said I had an open house sign up.
Oh my god, that's.
I put in one too many out there, forgot to pick it up.
Forgot to pick them up, yeah. I used to be an agent as well, and I made it a point to count how many I put out, so that I knew how many I needed at the end of the open house.
Every once in a while it's a mistake, but
Exactly, but that's different compared to the example.
We put them on every
Yeah.
weekend for like 2 days.
And the example you're giving, you could probably name somebody right off the top of your head, right?
No, it's two realtors that do it every week.
Exactly, same with the public. So, could we go to the next slide? I'm getting a lot of calls about this right now, privacy protected listings. Here's the thing about those. I get calls from agents that say, you know, I think this particular agent makes every single one of their sellers sign this document, say that they don't want to be contacted by other realtors. I don't think that's right. Okay. That's their practice, and it's up to their sellers to determine if they want to do that or not. This realtor always privacy protects their listings, but now they've relisted it and that one's not privacy protected. Do I have to assume it's privacy protected? The privacy protection stays with the MLS number, not the civic address, not the seller name. So it's possible that when it was relisted, the seller changed their mind. It's also possible the listing agent forgot. It's hard to say. But sellers are more savvy than we give them credit for sometimes. And when they're signing these documents, it's very possible they don't want to be solicited to. But at the end of the day, if right now, because of the market, you're looking at a lot of expireds, if the property is privacy protected, it's going to say on the expired list. So it's really easy for you to just bypass it. But if you are privacy protecting your listings, or if it's something you encourage your sellers to do, be aware of that. It follows the MLS number, not the address, not the seller.
well, how long do you have to privacy protect after it expires? Forever?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If it's expired and it expired while it was privacy protected, do not go there. Do not talk to those people. You cannot use any information from the MLS to contact them.
Fines are quite punitive.
Yeah, they are actually for a good reason.
How punitive was it? Wait, wait.
I think they're 10, 15 grand. They're expensive.
What was it? The
Privacy protect, so contact someone who's privacy protected.
Mhm. It's serious business. And I think my next slide is another minefield, actually. But let's just see if there's anything else.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Sometimes we send mail outs, right?
Yes.
The address, and let's say it's a condominium in downtown Vancouver, 200 units. Like we always try, as Bob says, not to send to the privacy protected one.
Correct.
You check it. But let's say if I miss one, but in my letter it has a disclaimer. I'm not trying to solicit any property like under the active management or contract or the blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Is that kind of okay?
I mean, it's helpful that you have it on there, but no, if you have a cranky realtor who said, this is the 5th time somebody's contacted my, because it could be your mistake, but maybe 4 other people made the same mistake. There's a reason the expired lists indicate which ones are privacy protected. You really need to look at that and do your due
Like the
diligence.
postal code mail out kind of. apply.
Yeah, I mean, then you're not targeting anybody specific. You don't have a name or anything like that. You're not
Exactly, no,
using.
no name,
Okay, yeah,
no
if you're
name.
not using information from the MLS
okay,
and you have your disclaimer, I beg your pardon?
I think neighborhood mail.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly, like you do the
Yeah.
whole building.
Yeah. You're not taking any information from the MLS for that. You're good. Please never forget your disclaimer, though.
Can you maybe talk a little about cancer protected one?
I could if I was more familiar with it. I'm really not that familiar with it, I'm sorry.
All right,
But cancer protected, my understanding of it is nobody can touch that listing. Right? Is that your guys' understanding?
Yeah.
Exactly. Until the listing expires.
And if I can add just something really quick to your points about
Yeah.
the disclaimer that you put about not soliciting, not to just solicit for each active. They're kind of 2 different rules. So privacy protection is a little bit different than, they're 2 different rules in your rules of cooperation. So just be mindful of that. Like just because that disclaimer is there, that might, if you used MLS information to solicit somebody who was privacy protected, that disclaimer is not going to help you at the end of the day. It will only help satisfy that rule that if they're in a current agency relationship, that you're not inducing breach of that agency relationship.
So Thank you. So to go back to that point, it's got to be a generic community mail out.
Totally.
That's actually what I do, but I also sometimes check if
Yeah.
it is expired.
Yeah.
Okay,
Smart.
all right. Yeah, that is smart. It just saves you a headache down the road, truthfully.
Can I ask a quick question?
Okay, can we go to the next slide, please, Allison? Commission arbitration. So we were talking earlier, has anybody had to dispute a commission or, you know, get a big surprise? Sometimes where I see a big surprise is if an agent calls and either says, my brokerage isn't paying me the commission I think they should be paying me. They're saying there's something in my agreement that's just kicked in, whatever. GVR will never get in the middle of a commission dispute between you and your brokerage. That will simply never happen. We are not party to your contracts. So that will always need to be resolved. Yes, ma'am.
We have a question on the last,
Okay,
on Zoom.
sure.
What if the last listing was not,
Privacy protected.
what if the last listing was privacy protected, but the previous listing was like one was, one wasn't?
The most
Um,
recent one is what matters.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's been not privacy protected 5 times and now it is, that's what
She says thanks, answered her question.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so we will never get involved in a commission dispute between you and your brokerage. But if it's between your brokerage and let's say you're the buyer's agent and the another brokerage has a listing, there's a dispute there. That does not get settled between Atlas is representing the buyer and Brian is representing the seller. That doesn't get settled between them. Atlas has to go to her managing broker. The other person goes to their managing broker. The brokerages, because again, the brokerage owns the listing, right? Not the individual person. So the brokerages are the ones to settle this dispute. It may go, if it doesn't get settled at the managing broker level, then it can go to the arbitration level. There's a time factor that is very important. If you believe there's going to be a discussion, a dispute, a disparity in what you think should be paid to you, you need to notify the other brokerage within 5 days of that sale closing. And if you have any questions about that, you want to talk to your managing broker. You don't want to be trying to make side deals, try to solve it, like, you know, without your managing broker's knowledge. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Because they're the ones that are going to have to be representing you when it goes to arbitration.
Can I quickly give you a quick feedback?
Of course.
I know, like I interned 2 years ago from the corporation background I was telling you. I noticed that out of 10 real estate agents, 8 of them are not professional at all, specifically towards their colleagues. They are mean, they are disrespectful, they bully you
They
specifically.
don't respond to offers.
They don't respond, they don't answer the touch base even. So I know that we have that feedback email at the end of the
Yes.
showing requested, but I really think like one way of having the public respect our
Yes.
occupation is to force our colleagues to just behave in a respectful manner.
100%.
So I think, I know you have like some ties, maybe you can take the comment out there that forces agents to rate honestly the other agent, but not, even doesn't need to go to myself. It
Yeah,
needs
yeah.
to go to whoever needs to control that because it's beyond, like I tell my like Mike, our brokerage owner, and he's like really supportive, but I've had conversations that they really try to like bother you. Like the purpose is just like to bully legit.
Mhm.
So
I believe you.
yeah, so I think we really need that in order to force people. It's like having a law. If you park there, you're not supposed to, they give you a ticket.
Mhm.
And I really think we have to.
If you get caught, they
Yeah.
give you a ticket.
Yeah.
Right, and so I'm just saying,
But
so you have to know about people's behavior. And the other really challenging part with that, Atlas, is nobody ever wants to be the one to make a complaint, right? Like yesterday or last week, rather, I got an email from somebody, they're really upset about something. Please don't tell them I'm the one that called.
And then the other thing is, that's partly because of how the board treats you. So one of my clients
Yeah.
made a complaint
Okay,
about a realtor who stole my sign off their property on his video camera.
oh my God.
stole your sign off their
I
property.
did nothing. I
Okay,
didn't even make a complaint. But I had to go to 3 meetings with the board. And my managing broker was losing his mind, not Doug, it was a different brokerage.
yeah,
Because they were cross-examining me. They were asking about stuff on my website. I'm like, and I'm a lawyer. So I said, what has this got to do with that?
Yes, yeah.
And everyone I've spoken to says,
To me.
if you make a complaint, you're gonna be dragged through the mud by the police. So that's why.
I see,
I mean, it was shocking that they were, it was almost laughable.
So
And
that
at one
is
point I said,
phenomenal feedback. from
I
you, Brenda.
said, I stood up, I said, you know what? I'm leaving. And Bill said, oh, Bill did, who's great.
Yeah, yeah,
He
great. guy.
said, he goes, you're not going to do that. I go, well, what are you gonna do? I'm leaving. This is ridiculous. You are asking me all these questions. I was never given the money back for the
Sign.
the person did have to take ethics, whatever, she had to
Yeah.
take something. But it was ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely ridiculous.
How long ago was that?
Probably 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'd like
It
to
was
think the process has changed, but I'm absolutely bringing that back.
But no, and that's why if you talk to realtors, a lot of people will say they're not gonna make a complaint because even if it's, so I had a realtor go to my elderly client's house with an offer and say, we're only gonna do this after it expires. I didn't complain because I didn't want to go through all that again, right? This poor woman was like,
Yeah,
why is the realtor coming to my house and saying they'll only buy the house if it's not listed? Like stuff goes on and does not get reported,
well, that I know for sure,
but serious things
Yeah.
because of the process.
but I will absolutely take your point on that, but I will also say, just because people tell me they don't want to make complaints because they don't want the other agent to know it's them. What if they have to encounter that agent in a transaction next month? Will their offer be treated the same? Will they bring a buyer to their listing if they were just part of a complaint, if someone made a complaint about them? So I think it's two-pronged. Very disappointed to hear your aspect of it and certainly your experience.
And Bill Dick did say he was gonna raise it with the board.
Yes,
So I don't know whatever happened with that
Yeah.
because he was also shocked.
yeah. Can you do me a favor, Lena? And
Yeah.
if you can make a note of that, and also the previous one that Atlas was saying about the bullying agents, just to like.
The bullying one's a big one.
Oh, I know.
It's a
So
big one.
specifically,
There
we
was
are
something.
like immigrants, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not shy at all, but if you're immigrant. No, but if you get caught, I get it, but consciously, you may get caught. Specifically, there are
Absolutely.
older agents who have been in the business for like 10, 15
Yeah.
years, they're very
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't know if you've seen how many times we put out some piece about doing the right thing, responding to touch base messages, responding to phone calls, respond. I don't understand, especially in a market like this, right?
they don't.
I don't know,
Where's
it's-
the
I don't even respond to offers.
I know, it makes no
I'm
sense.
putting 2 offers this week to a realtor who didn't respond. You can see my text to him and he goes, oh, well, the client just laughed at it. I go, well, can you tell me I laughed at it before it expired? And I gave you 38
My
hours.
client just laughed at it.
Yeah.
That's
No,
helpful.
we offered 8,000 under us. We didn't like it. I was like, what? My client, and then the thing is, the client thinks I'm insane.
Patricia, you can ask them to cross it out and initial it, send it back to you.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I asked him to respond. He
Well, yes.
responded all twice, 2 different offers I sent him.
And we'll follow.
No, we may, because the text is just like, and my client is still trying to buy this place. This is the last offer was sent in yesterday.
How
Still
sad is that?
response.
How sad is that? And again, your client's perspective right now of the industry.
Is this bullying part of the ethics or worse? Is that?
I mean, yeah, it's ethics for sure. It's
It
professionalism.
should be part of the ethics course and BC.
And that's BCFSA.
It is part of the manners.
I follow the rules, so I don't really.
Exactly. No, it's from a regulator's point of view, it's difficult because it's difficult to mind manners. What might be rude to one person isn't necessarily rude to another and vice versa. But they, in their last iteration of their ethics course, they did have a piece in there about that. I don't know if they still.
Yeah, because this is us all, right? It's not good on
Absolutely.
at all.
This is just it for me.
That's
talking
right.
about the optics. Yeah, it's bad for the profession. Okay. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question on that. So is there a reason that there can't be anonymity if a complaint is brought in on another agent with evidence?
It's hard for me to say because I'm not part of the professional
Fair,
conduct
yeah.
committee, but I would say that anonymity would be the last direction they would want to go, simply because of the evidence, where the evidence came from. And oftentimes the evidence points right to who's making the complaint, kind of thing. But I can learn more about the anonymity. I know we have an opportunity for anonymous complaints. I know that, but it is by far not preferred. It's just,
Well, I think that it's one thing coming from managed broker, it's quite another coming from the board. And I
Yes.
know whenever I got a call from Kim Spencer about something going on, I paid a lot of attention. And I think that, you know, maybe some support like that,
Mhm.
rather than the managing broker, calling the managing broker, if there's something egregious. That it could be the board, you know, doing a bit of an investigation, whether it goes anywhere or not, it's
Yeah.
not the point.
Yeah.
But if the board were to call a managing broker,
Oh, I-
talk to that realtor.
I do that a lot.
Wait, that's
Yeah.
more weight.
I absolutely do that a lot. Yeah, to the point where I've had managing brokers say to me, so wait a minute, let me get this straight. So it's your job to make sure that I am giving this person X, whatever it was. I'm like, it's my job to just try and make it just happen smoothly. Nobody needs to get into a big war about it. I just want to calm the waters.
Well, and the managing broker talk to that realtor and say, this is the way we do business.
Mhm.
That's all we want.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Of
That's what it takes. It's a managing broker, not managing his people. Our guys are really good here.
course they
They
are.
get out of line and you're in trouble.
And I would add to that also that when we do get a complaint about something that might be something easily solvable, doesn't have to go to a formal complaint. It's also not unusual for me to write to the agent and copy the managing
Yeah.
broker, because 9 times out of 10, the managing broker has no idea that this is happening.
I think that email would be perfect.
Yeah.
It shines a light on.
Mhm.
And it points out what the complaint is. It's not, you don't have to justify it or anything like that, or anonymity to.
Yeah.
Part of that, we had a complaint about you,
Oh,
saying such and such and such and such.
yes. You know what? Let me correct that then. When you're dealing with me, like outside of the professional conduct committee, every time I go back to somebody, it's always anonymous. It's always anonymous. But if it reaches a level of formal complaint that goes to the professional conduct committee, that's where the anonymity becomes more dicey. It's harder sometimes to prove the thing all the way through. But when I'm reaching out to people, I never ever say who
Yeah.
prompted me, who told
I
me
think
about
that's
this.
the next step. That's the one we need. That's kind
Yeah.
of. Gotta push that a little more for the lady in the room. People being, you know,
Yeah, for example,
Yeah.
if somebody were to call me and say, I'm trying to do a deal with so-and-so, and this agent is such a bully, they're disrespectful, they're not returning my calls or anything like that, I would call the managing broker. And I would say, hey, what's the story with this agent? Are they having a bad day? Is it a bad week? Is this their MO? Every once in a while, I'll get a managing broker say, well, you know, that person's a little prickly, but you know, they're really good at what they do. And I don't think that's a good answer. That's not a good answer.
no,
That's just giving
generally
somebody
the answer you
permission.
get when I call.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I'll talk, man.
Nothing happens after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whether they talk to them or not, no, but it comes to the board. and
Yeah.
they have to have a response. If we've had a complaint about you,
Yeah.
can you please respond?
Yep.
That's all. That would be,
And that's what I do on the informal
Yeah.
side.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Then, you know, I don't have to worry about you, just, you know, have that realtor respond back with, what is your position on?
Yeah, and again, sometimes those managing brokers are equally shocked. Oh my gosh.
I'm always shocked.
Yeah.
Or they
Because they're
behave
so
that way, or they
They're all
behave that
angels.
way.
Yes, you're right.
Because the
Every,
person is doing good enough.
every
I'm not
once in a
gonna cover you,
while-
But we just do whatever, I
Yeah.
don't know.
every once in a while, you're right. We do. But in terms of how managing brokers are really helpful in the area of commissions, we don't see that many arbitrations. I don't think we saw any last year, actually. It's because managing brokers are so valuable to helping you with that. So they often get settled
Yeah.
before it ever becomes a big affair.
Is that good?
You don't know about the cutting takes.
Oh, well, you know, but works for a price. Okay, can you go to the next slide, please, Allison? All right, this one is a minefield. I have a lot of notes actually on this one, if I recall. Again, in this market, seller might think, I don't know that my listing agent is doing everything that they can for. I don't know if they've got it priced right. I don't know if they're marketing enough. I don't know if their marketing plan is appropriate for my property. They know you're the neighbor or they've used you in the past, forgot about the loyalty aspect until they went to somebody else. Now they're calling you and saying, do you think my property's priced right? Or what would be a price opinion, you know, for my property? Danger, 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 and more danger. You can have a conversation. Please read all the bullet points on this slide. It is fraught. this conversation with somebody who's under contract is fraught with danger. Because if it looks at all like you either approached the person or you said anything that might be negative towards the listing agent, anything negative about their marketing plan, anything at all that the listing agent hears about and doesn't like, you're in deep trouble and you have very little to cover yourself with. So I would take excellent notes in the moment, not after the fact. And I would have a very strong conversation with the member of the public to let them know, hey, we are going into territory here where I need to be careful. I can't be offering you any type of service right now, blah, blah, you know, like you need to really cover yourself in this conversation. It's coming to you because I'm getting, last week alone, I had 2 calls on this topic and which, let's say 6 months previously, 0 conversations on this topic. So it's coming up.
Best practice, literally just say like, I can't really talk to you right now, like I give the most generic.
That's the safe answer. That is definitely the safe answer. Yeah.
I literally kind of walked away, I was like, don't break up with them.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, you know, the
You
rules
can't
of
be-
cooperation really distinguish between soliciting and what's the word I use here? There's solicitation. No, not that one. I can't recall, but bottom line, please cover or cross your T's, dot your I's. Spell it very well for them that you cannot provide any services right now. You'd be happy to chat with them once their listing expires, should they choose to use a different agent.
In terms of reports, email or text messages are okay too.
Oh, text messages, or you
It's
just need
fine.
to, whatever can be date stamped to show
It's not-
this person reached out to you. You know, this was your response. You want a paper trail on this one because it's a tough one. Yeah. And I think that might be the end of mine. What's the next slide, Allison? You got it.
Me.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful. So unlike Jenny and Carmen, I'm also not great at riffing off my own, so I've also got notes. But like we said, we had a couple of technical difficulties and all my notes were in the presentation. So it's a good thing I brought a paper copy. Now I'm mindful of the time here, but I did want to take a few minutes to talk about PacificWest. Next slide, please, if you could. Beautiful. Okay, so what is PacificWest? It happens every single year. How long has it been going on for?
Well, this iteration of it, I believe, is on its 4th year.
Right, okay. So over the past number of years, PacificWest has become one of the largest Canadian real estate conferences on the West Coast. So it's put on jointly by Fraser Valley and by GVR. It's a Canadian event for Canadian realtors. It's all put on in tandem with the 2 real estate agents here. At the end of the day, it's about getting everyone in one place at one time. Brokers, educators, you know, exhibitors, industry professionals, you know, we all come to learn, share ideas, and talk about what's actually happening in the market. And I think, you know, especially right now with the amount of disruption going on globally, you know, locally, and all the other things, it's important to try and stay ahead of the curve. I think I'm personally really excited about the speakers. We went through and vetted them all ourselves. There's some really, really, really good ones in there. It's not just a trade show, although there is that component to it as well. And it's not just a networking event, but of course there is that component to it. The focus is more on practical education, you know, good conversations and, you know, trying to take something useful back to the office and back to your everyday life. The keynote speakers I'm particularly excited about. You know, there's breakout sessions, workshops, and loads of different opportunities to learn and also earn, I think it's 6 self-directed professional development points along the way.
And not to be forgotten,
Not to be
the
forgotten.
day before,
Oh,
there's a brand new course being released.
there is.
And it's happening at the venue and you get PDP.
You get 3 accredited PDP.
That is correct.
Yes, and who's teaching that one?
Leslie Howard and Kim Spencer.
Is that included with the price here?
No, it's an add-on.
Yeah.
It's an add-on.
Yeah, so I think the ticket started, I think it
The day before.
it
But
is,
if
yeah.
we book now, we can get it for free, right?
Oh, let me write you a coupon, it'll be handed. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're at $10 discount.
Exactly, we'll put you in a raffle. I think the tickets start at $340 and then there's add-ons for different, tiers.
And there was also like the early bird that I
Yeah.
think finished last month or we might be in the middle range of the prices right now.
Definitely.
Ryan and I do not organize the
No,
conference.
we don't, but I did attend it last year and it was absolutely
How
fabulous.
much was it last year?
It depends when you bought the tickets.
Roughly, let's say the big.
I think if you wanted a VIP ticket last year, it was in the $400 range. And the
And
VIP got you the special room and the food and all that.
Yeah, the big party. There's also a really big party as well, which is lots of fun. We got free cowboy hats last time, which is great. So that's not a reason to go, But you also, and the trade show component of it, you also get to meet all the companies that are producing, real estate tech in our space. So whether it's Constant Contact or, Condo Scan or Payload or Century Lock or CyberGuard or whatever the case is, the trade show is massive, which is just fabulous. And for the most part, you get to, you chat with people that you normally wouldn't cross paths with on a day-to-day basis. Now, in my travels over the past year or so, I've managed to talk to a lot of different managing brokers, and a very common theme has come up that we've all become very siloed. And office presentations like this don't happen that often. So credit where credit's due. This is fabulous. We'd love to see people in the same room. Being able to have the belly-to-belly contact and keep the people first, people business side of things is really, really important. And this is just a great way for you guys to be able to actually get inside a room with people in our profession. It's grown to be one of the largest real estate conferences in Western Canada. And I think in 2025, we had over 1,500 attendees, over 100 exhibitors, and audience-wise through social media and communications, I think we reached almost 30,000 people. So big ticket event, which is really fabulous. So for your team, it's kind of an opportunity to get out of the office, change the pace of play a little bit, hear what's coming up, make changes to your business. And if you even come out with one new tool or one new perspective or one new relationship, that's a win in my opinion. Now, the big question is why?
What is the big question, Brian?
Why is the big question? Because I get it right now, the market's slow. The market's slow. People want to be focusing on things like lead generation. They're going to be out, pounding the pavement and working their network and trying to generate dollars. I get that, of course. The answer for me is the value that it brings. And that, really kind of boils down to getting a chance to connect with the industry and stay ahead of the curve. We're going to see a lot of different changes coming out over the next number of years. Artificial intelligence, market shifts, globally, the global economy, global politics. You get a little piece of everything. Now, in terms of the big speakers, you get industry professionals, industry experts like Jeff King, our CEO, is going to be doing a big talk. Tolga Yalkin on the regulatory side, he's the CEO of BCFSA. We've got people talking about, artificial intelligence, wellness, how to keep your funnel full, lead generation, pretty much everything. We went through and exhaustively reviewed every single potential speaker, and we narrowed them down to a very potent list that, we believe will be, of the highest and best use to you folks. Now, for the most part, I think staying ahead of things is one of the biggest things. And for me, that's where I found the most value because you're going to hear from everyone. Now, I'm not going to belabor this too much. I think this year's going to be excellent. I think it's the 27th is the first day. That's the brand new workshop. And then it's the 28th and 29th of September. I think early bird sales are done. But what we will do is, and we'll send out the correct version of this presentation later on, so you guys will all have a copy, but we'll also make sure that we include a registration link for anyone who does want to attend. And maybe we can do a group booking for you there, Doug. So you guys
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Yeah.
So that's the deal with PacificWest. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I know everyone's got stuff they need to do today, and they're really important topics worked out by my two partners here. Yes.
I myself wanted to join that last year.
Yes.
Same as this year. It's too expensive.
Yeah, sure.
So most of courses for real estate agents, they are beyond expensive, and you can afford it if you are making a really good money, specifically for newer agents.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think I sent an email, but I never got a response. I wanted to say, sometimes for these courses, you guys can, whoever is arranging it can provide volunteering options for agents so they get the discount. If I am coming and willing to work there and I can get like 13% off, So I come, I join some classes, I learn, and I work for the GPR, and it's a volunteering.
No, and it's a common thing you see with, not just conferences, but with events and things along those lines, whether it's a music festival or some kind of big thing. So it's an interesting idea. I don't know if we'll be able to work it in for this year, given that
No,
we're
even
a couple
for the
months away,
next
but
one.
for next,
That
it's
would
a good
be to
idea.
get new agents like myself to attend.
Well, the information's the important part, right? At any cost.
I have something too that might help as well on these prices. Why don't you give, instead of self-directed PDP, why don't you give us 6
Accredited?
credited ones? Save us-
They are
I
accredited.
can step in on that. Conferences don't qualify under the memorandum of understanding. with the
Jen,
province.
Jason, remember?
You can't. So it's like we give
They would
it
agree.
self-directed.
We would all agree, would we? Yay!
But that's
Well,
why
thanks.
we tagged on the accredited learning opportunity at the front end, recognizing that.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
all.
just doesn't.
Trying to
qualify
ease
for
the.
accredited.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you a code anymore for you.
Come easy, go.
So-
It's all tax deductible too, that's why.
Yeah,
But the other thing though is there could be something for new agents, like,
Oh, certainly.
it's like under 5 years license.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, they're the ones that need it.
We want them to work hard.
Of course. Well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? So, now with that being said, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Today. We really appreciate you having here. You guys, I know the market's a little tricky right now, but keep at it. It will get better. And, thank you.
Can I?
All hood, everybody. Hey.
Thank you, everyone.
Local neighborhood.
Great information today.
Thank you so
Thanks for having me, everybody.
Great, thanks.
New faces in here. I think there's a couple.
Yeah.
My name is Paul. I'm a mortgage broker. I do a lot of in-house financing for C21. I'd love to meet you both and have a coffee or lunch soon and get to know each other. I don't really need 5 minutes. There's not a lot to talk about except interest rates. No change tomorrow. There's a Bank of Canada announcement tomorrow. Don't expect any changes whatsoever. Government is in a holding pattern on what to do there. Fixed rates are literally moving up and down with the bond market based on the conflict in Iran and oil expectations. When Donald Trump says there's a ceasefire, the bond market comes down, price of oil drops. Iran says, no, that's not true. No more ceasefire, the bond market goes up and serving fixed rates. So it's literally what's been happening all year. Bond market's sitting at about 3.18 this morning. It's been kind of steady up and down 10 basis points for the last several months. So we don't anticipate a lot of change with interest rates coming up. Most economists are saying no change to prime for the remainder of this year. That could all change if the conflict in the Middle East stops tomorrow for good and the price of oil comes down. It's a completely different outlook, but I think what they're saying is this is going to be a long-term thing. So the good news in the market is property values are down, and at certain price points, there's a lot of activity. First-time home buyers are coming into the market, and we're doing a lot of mortgages. So there's some activity there. Higher price points, some of them aren't moving so well. Other than that, the importance of getting your clients pre-approved. I can't express that enough. Lenders are just not moving as quickly as they were prior to COVID for various reasons. The whole world's moving a little slower in a lot of aspects. So if somebody doesn't get pre-approved and suddenly there's an offer written with 1 week to subject removal, it's very tough to get a lender to get that done in a week, especially if we need an appraisal. And if there's any challenges, then what I hate to do is ask for an extension. It's the last call that I ever want to make. So free service. I will talk to your client. I will go through their finances. I will make sure they're prepared to write an offer so that when you do, their success rate on getting that is as high as possible. Okay. If anyone has any questions about the wonderful, exciting mortgages,
Make sure you guys look on Paul and take the point to say hi.
yeah, I brought some cards. We'll say hi. We'll get in contact. Any questions at all? All right.
All right, that's it, guys.
Okay.